After my death, my parents signed the organ donation consent form and had my retinas transplanted to Anna, their most cherished adopted daughter. Anna married my own brother, and they finally became a real family. I competed with Anna all my life, only to end up with nothing but desolation. Given a second chance at life, I decided to live for myself, and unexpectedly found happiness in the end. I was reborn, returned to the day Anna came to my home. If I had been reborn a little earlier, perhaps I could have prevented Anna's biological parents from passing away, or even threatened suicide to stop my parents from adopting her. But now she's already here, it's too late to make a scene. Anna is the daughter of my father's mentor, the late-life child of a renowned painter who cherished her like a pearl in their palms from infancy. She displayed extraordinary talent in painting, yet suffered from an unknown eye disease that caused her vision to fluctuate unpredictably, with the constant risk of blindness. Her mentor and his wife took Anna everywhere seeking medical treatment, but both tragically passed away in an accident, leaving only young Anna behind. Anna's childhood was utterly miserable, so when my parents first saw her, they immediately decided to treat her as their own, even valuing her more than me, their biological daughter. Wendy, haven't you always wanted an older sister? From now on, Anna will be your real sister. Aren't you happy? My parents gazed at me with tender eyes, hoping I would wholeheartedly accept this adopted sister. In my previous life at age 7, I was truly happy, believing the world had gained another warm family member, willing to share my love with this gentle-faced sister. I never imagined Anna was a robber. She didn't want to share my love equally, but to seize all of it for herself. Wendy, Dad knows you're very sensible. Sister Anna isn't in good health. Even though you're the younger sister, we need you to help Mom and Dad take care of her. Can you do that? Before I could answer, tears had already welled up in Anna's eyes. I know it must be hard for my sister to accept me. Who would want to share their family's love with someone else? Don't worry, little sister, I'll just go back to the orphanage. Sometimes I really suspect Anna might also be reborn. How could an 8-year-old girl be so calculating? Before I even showed any opposition, she'd already pinned the label of jealous on me. Mom wiped Anna's tears with tenderness, saying, "Don't cry, Anna, it's not good for your eyes." "And why are you still calling us uncle and aunt?" "We've told you, from today onward, we're your mom and dad." Anna lifted her delicate little face, glistening teardrops still clinging to her lashes. Her expression was a picture of overwhelmed gratitude, enough to melt anyone's heart. Woo-woo, I have a mommy and daddy now. For a moment, the three of them hugged and cried together in a heap, no one remembering to ask for my opinion. Anna just had that kind of magic. That night, my parents made me share a room with Anna. I lay quietly, unable to sleep, my mind calculating how to become independent and leave this home as soon as possible. After everything from my past life, I understood, ever since Anna barged into this family, my mom, dad, and brother had all become her possessions alone. Late into the night, Anna quietly got out of bed. I squinted my eyes, pretending to sleep, and watched as she ran straight to our parents' room. Woo-woo, Mommy, Daddy, it's so dark, my eyes hurt, I'm so scared. My parents, whose judgment was clouded by sympathy, didn't even stop to consider how Anna could possibly find her way to their room in such an unfamiliar environment while suddenly suffering for my problems. They just held Anna tightly, their hearts aching for her, on the verge of tears. "Don't be afraid, Anna. Mom and Dad are here." Anna trembled as she burrowed into Mom's embrace, appearing thoroughly frightened. "Mom, Dad, can I really stay in this family?" "Woo-woo, just now, little sister she." Overhearing this, my heart sank. The next moment, without a word of explanation, Dad stormed into my room and yanked me out of bed while I was still pretending to be asleep. "What did you say to Anna? How could you be so inconsiderate? Anna has always been frail since childhood, and her background is so pitiful. Can't you just give in to her? Don't be like this, Wendy is still young. Teach her more, and she'll understand." Mom tried to persuade Dad with her words, but she still held Anna tightly in her arms, showing no intention of coming to protect me. In the end, they took Anna back to their room and shut me out, still dressed in thin pajamas. Before, Mom would always come to check on me in the middle of the night to see if I was sleeping well, tucking me in before leaving. They seemed to have forgotten that I was just a 7-year-old child. I was also afraid of the dark, afraid of the cold, and at an age when I needed my parents' love the most. In her previous life, Anna often did this, first pretending her eye condition had flared up, then taking advantage of my overly compassionate parents' sympathy to fabricate baseless lies and smear my name. As a child, I gradually became aware of the danger. Ever since she arrived, I went from being my parents' sweet and adorable little girl to a bad child in their eyes. So I began competing with Anna in secret, vying with her at every turn. Whatever Anna had, I had to have it too. Anna was skilled at putting on an act in front of others, playing the gentle, timid girl who always yielded. This only made Mom and Dad feel even more indebted to her. I've been competing with Anna my whole life and could never win against her. Even my brother, who used to dote on me the most, fell under Anna's spell. Everyone in the art world knows our family has a pitifully delicate genius adopted daughter Anna, and a domineering, jealous good-for-nothing named Wendy. This lifetime, I've decided to stop competing with Anna. I want to live the life I truly desire. Early the next morning, Anna's laughter and my parents' cheerful voices drifted from the dining room. I quietly walked downstairs and saw Anna sitting in my usual seat, eating with my favorite utensils. The previously harmonious atmosphere suddenly shattered when they saw me, as if I were the outsider intruding on their family. Mom's face flashed with embarrassment. "Wendy, you're up so early today. Anna doesn't have her own utensils yet, so she's using yours for now. Could you use your brother's set instead?" "I refuse. I don't like taking what belongs to others." Everyone immediately recognized my words as a jab at Anna. Dad, still angry about yesterday's incident where I bullied Anna, saw his normally kind expression darken considerably. I glanced at the milk, sandwich, and bacon and eggs on the table, all things Anna liked. I'm lactose intolerant, so I usually have congee for breakfast. "Oh, I forgot, you can't drink milk. I'll make you a cup of soy milk later," Mom hurriedly interjected, trying to smooth things over, afraid of revealing how much more attentive she was to her adopted daughter than to me. With a loud clatter, Dad slammed his cup on the table and scolded irritably, "Since when are there so many rules? You spoil her too much, she's getting out of hand at such a young age. We don't have time to waste, we need to take Anna to transfer schools later." If it were the old me, those words would have shattered my heart, and I would have thrown a fit without a second thought. But now, all I felt was numbness. I sat quietly in a corner of the table, watching Anna as she ate with her head down, a smug smile playing at the corners of her lips. But when she looked up again, her little face was already filled with sorrow. "Dad, don't say that about my sister. Unlike me, she's been coddled and cherished since childhood, it's only natural she's a bit willful. It just shows how much you love her." Once again, my saintly parents were moved to tears. How could there be such an angelic little girl in the world? In comparison, I, who had everything from childhood yet remained so willful, was truly too unreasonable. Their gazes toward me were once again laden with deep disappointment. But I didn't care. In my past life, I had already nearly severed ties with my parents, and I no longer cared how they saw me. I could easily curry favor with Anna, playing the role of a brainless, easily controlled younger sister. That way, I'd still be Mom and Dad's good daughter, able to scavenge whatever scraps of affection they might spare from their doting on Anna. But I'll make sure Anna knows that the love and family ties she schemed so hard to obtain are utterly worthless in my eyes. By the time the happy family of 3 returned home after completing Anna's transfer procedures, I had already voluntarily vacated my original room, moving all my belongings into the unused maid's quarters. It wasn't meant as a concession to Anna, just my way of preserving some private space for myself. Dad gently patted my head and said, "Wendy is so sensible, truly Daddy's good daughter." A young child might have been smug upon hearing these words, but having lived a second life, I understood the underlying message. Only by sympathizing with Anna at every turn, sacrificing my own happiness to accommodate her, would I qualify as his good daughter. Anna barged into my room uninvited to look around. When she saw the complete set of art supplies my parents had previously bought me, her little face suddenly turned pale, and she weakly threw herself into Mom's arms, sobbing. "Woof woof, I want to draw carefree like my sister too." Mom looked at me with difficulty, hesitating for a long time before finally speaking up. "Sorry, Wendy. For Anna's sake, could you put away your drawing things for now? Here we go again." Ever since Anna appeared, my living space has been constantly shrinking, until finally I wasn't even allowed to have my own hobbies and dreams. It was the same in my past life. Anna couldn't draw for long periods because of her poor eyesight, so I was forced to keep cutting back on my own painting time. Despite being a painter's daughter, I couldn't freely buy art supplies or attend training classes, all because it might upset Anna if she saw. Yet Anna could snuggle in Dad's arms and learn to paint hand in hand. Every single one of her works was carefully framed, while my paintings had to stay hidden at the very bottom of the art box. Even during the crucial moment of our art university entrance exams, Anna suddenly developed vision problems mid-exam and couldn't complete her test. When submitting our work, she switched the names on our paintings. When the admission results came out, I immediately recognized that the excellent exam paper labeled with Anna's name was actually mine. I begged my parents to stand up for me, but they just hugged Anna, who was crying hysterically, and advised me to be more generous. "Wendy, you can always retake the exam next year, but Anna doesn't have much time left. You know she could lose her sight at any moment. Anna has had such a hard life since childhood. Just let her have this. You'll definitely pass next year." They say it's easy, but who knows how much time I secretly spent practicing despite not having Anna's talent. Painting in the dark every night, I nearly ruined my eyes. I screamed in despair. Wasn't stealing my parents enough for her? Now she wants to steal my future too. Give me back my spot, or I'll leave this house forever. My defiance didn't bring my parents remorse, only an enraged slap from my father. If Anna's eyes hadn't fallen ill, do you really think you could have beaten her? You have no talent for art. Even if you got into art school, you'd just be dead last. I covered my stinging cheek, unable to believe such words had come from my own father's mouth. In the end, Anna still took my place at the art university. I became the laughingstock of our entire circle, having lost to a visually impaired adopted daughter. With my artistic dreams shattered, I embarked on a mediocre life. Given a second chance at life, I'd already lost my passion for painting. So in front of my parents, I threw that set of painting tools into the trash bin. Father's face darkened instantly, but knowing they were in the wrong, they could only leave resentfully with Anna. After the holidays arrived, my biological brother William, who usually studies abroad, also came back for a reunion, mainly to meet the legendary new sister, Anna. Just like in the previous life, my brother was completely smitten by Anna at first sight. Because Anna had covered her face with a cloth, walking around the hall like a blind person, and then coincidentally fell right into the arms of her newly met brother. Blushing shyly, Anna said in a delicate voice, "Since I don't know when I might go blind, I want to learn how to live in darkness first, so I won't be a burden to Mom, Dad, and brother in the future." Anna really knows how to talk, effortlessly pushing me, her sister, aside while subtly hinting to my brother that she and I don't get along. The hot-blooded older brother was so shocked he couldn't speak. The girl before him was as pitiable and endearing as the delicate female lead in a Korean drama, and he immediately vowed in his heart to take care of Anna for the rest of his life. Our parents suggested the whole family go out for a fun day to celebrate my brother's return. I didn't want to join. Their harmonious family of 4 had nothing to do with a willful, jealous, unruly, and unloved youngest daughter like me. But Anna just had to make things difficult, hiding in a corner and shedding little pearly tears. "Mom, Dad, you should just take brother and little sister. It'll spoil your family reunion if I'm there." My brother panicked, gently wiping Anna's tears. "Why would you say that? We've been family for a long time now." Anna pretended to dodge her brother's hand while casting a timid glance at me, as if silently accusing me. Her brother immediately shot me a fierce glare. "Wendy! Why are you bullying Anna? How could you become like this? You weren't like this before." what have I become? It's you who have changed. Mom, who used to care for me in every way, Dad, who was strict yet gentle, and my brother, who always protected me, you've all become strangers to me. I just gave a cold smile, meeting my brother's gaze directly as I replied, why don't you ask Anna to answer? How exactly have I bullied her? I've even given up my own room for her. What more could she possibly want? Anna grew visibly guilty under my questioning, instinctively avoiding my gaze. Her fearful demeanor only fueled my brother's protective instincts, making him shout at me recklessly. That arrogant attitude of yours is what hurt her. Anna just came to our family, it's only natural you should give way to her. In that moment, I became the villain who needed to be condemned, while my brother played the role of the prince protecting his princess. Our saintly parents could only take sides from the sidelines. Wendy, your brother rarely comes home, don't upset him. Hurry up and apologize to him and Anna. I surveyed this family whose favoritism knew no bounds and replied firmly, word by word, I'll let Anna have whatever she wants because I don't care for it. But an apology? Not a chance. After saying this, I locked myself in my room, shutting out my brother's furious, impotent roars. After that, the happy family of four enjoyed a whole day together. No one remembered to call and check on me, nor did anyone think to bring me back a meal. If it were my past self, I would have been utterly heartbroken, starving myself or even running away from home just to make my parents feel guilty. But now I know such actions are futile, they only end up tormenting my own body. I cooked myself a hearty bowl of instant noodles and, while eating, spread out the study guides I had secretly bought earlier. Since my rebirth, I've been studying diligently to improve myself without a single day of slacking. In this life, I'm determined to carve out my own path through hard work, and after careful consideration, I've decided to pursue medicine. With the intellect of my 20s retained in this 7-year-old body, I've left Anna far behind academically. Anna's usual act might work on my overly compassionate family, but it cuts no ice with school teachers. Failing grades are failing grades. At the end of term, I ranked first in our grade while Anna came in last. Every time she got summoned by teachers for poor performance, she'd cry about her eye condition flaring up due to stress. But she stubbornly refused to transfer to a special needs school. Every exam week, she would throw such tantrums that the whole household was thrown into chaos. To spare Anna's feelings and prevent her from being looked down upon by classmates for being adopted, my saintly parents decided they'd both attend Anna's parent-teacher conference, even though my own conference was scheduled for the exact same time slot. My saintly parents couldn't possibly have been unaware that their favoritism made me the target of bullying at school, where classmates mocked me as the unwanted child with parents who don't care. Whenever they needed to sacrifice my needs for Anna's sake, they'd trot out that same tired justification that had worn grooves in my eardrums. Anna's health is poor, and her background is so tragic, just let her have her way this time. But I didn't care, because knowledge gave me the greatest power. I used my spare time to study ahead and skipped grades at the age of 12, becoming the youngest high school student in our city's history. For a time, my name became a household name. Everyone knew our family had a prodigy daughter. Dad's phone rang off the hook every day with calls from upper-class circles, wanting me to befriend or even get engaged to their children. But once again, to spare Anna's feelings, Dad turned down all those dinner invitations. He never considered how much networking with high society could help my future prospects. Of course, how could I ever compare to his precious Anna? On the day the admission letter arrived, the principal and newspaper reporters came to my house in person to deliver the notice, but all they were greeted with were my parents' hurriedly departing figures. How could Anna allow me to draw my parents' attention? She simply feigned a headache, and my parents rushed her to the hospital without even sparing a moment to greet the principal. Though I had long been disillusioned with my saintly parents, I still felt a twinge of grievance and helplessness in that moment. The principal gave me a deep look and said earnestly, "Our school doesn't have boarding students, but if you wish to stay on campus, you can apply in advance. I'll make the arrangements for you." The principal's hand stroking my head was so gentle. It had been so long since I'd felt the care and concern of an elder that I couldn't help but shed tears in front of him. And because of those tears, I gained the two most important people in my life. As the new semester approached, I couldn't wait to move from this utterly loveless home into school accommodation. On the day I left, Mom and Dad had once again been sent to the hospital by Anna. Although my brother was home on vacation, he showed no intention of helping me pack my luggage. He just watched me bustle about indifferently and finally threw out the words, "This house will finally be peaceful." I carried the last bag of luggage into the taxi without even sparing a glance for my brother. The room prepared for me by the principal was excellent, apparently converted from spare teacher housing, a comfortable single apartment by any standard. I spent a day cleaning the dormitory until it was neat and cozy, then went to the bookstore and bought a pile of study materials. High school coursework would be heavier, so I had to work even harder to surpass everyone. On the first official day of school, as expected, I faced exclusion from my classmates. Hearing that the principal had exceptionally arranged dormitory accommodations for me, they immediately labeled me as someone with special connections. Oh my, here comes the 12-year-old prodigy. Does the little genius get scared living alone in the dorm? Might she cry for her mommy at night? Let's seat the prodigy by the water cooler, she might need to prepare infant formula during breaks. These self-important students ostracized me because my presence overshadowed their brilliance. Such caustic remarks might be devastating blows to teenagers, but to someone reborn like me, they just seem laughably childish. Though young in age, I'm tall in stature, so I strode directly to the center seat in the classroom. Immediately discordant voices rose again. Nepotism sure is different, even gets to pick the center seat. Who can stand being watched by the teacher all the time by sitting with her? The students scattered around, leaving me alone in the very center. I straightened my back, turning a deaf ear to the mocking voices, and calmly opened a textbook. Just then, someone pulled out the chair beside me and sat down. A boy with slender, elegant hands extended one toward me. "Hi, you're Wendy, right? Nice to meet you, I'm Ethan. Can I sit with you?" I gave him a discreet once-over. He had that clean, popular kid aura. "Are you sure? Sitting with me might get you labeled as a connection." The boy laughed brightly, winking mischievously as he leaned in to whisper in my ear, "Haha, they wouldn't dare, I'm the principal's son." Only then did I notice the resemblance between Ethan's features and the principal's. It seemed the principal had anticipated I might struggle to fit in and had specifically asked Ethan to look out for me. A warm current flowed through my heart. Even if it was just out of respect for the principal, I resolved to get along well with Ethan. After the first weekly exam, my far superior scores silenced all my doubters. Soon, some swallowed their pride and came to me for help. The minor bumps in my high school life smoothed out, becoming peaceful and smooth from then on. When the weekend arrived, the vast campus seemed to have only me left. I had originally planned to focus on studying in the library, but unexpectedly, Ethan knocked on my dorm room door. Both he and the principal knew I didn't go home on weekends and were worried I might feel lonely staying alone, so they specially came to invite me for lunch. Having long lived with family favoritism and neglect, I always cherished others' kindness deeply. The kind-hearted principal and the humorous, talkative Ethan gave me a long-lost sense of familial warmth. It turns out there really are people in this world who would constantly think of me and care for me. Ever since I enrolled, every weekend was spent with the principal's family. The principal said perseverance in studying is commendable, but being too tense can actually hinder the absorption of knowledge. As for my family, they must have been quite happy without me around, not even a single phone call urging me to come home. In my time with the principal's family, I gradually opened up, rediscovering some of the innocence and vitality that should belong to someone my age. The principal even looked at me tenderly and said, "I've always wanted a daughter. If only you were mine." No one knew how deeply those words affected me, because in my past life, I had once overheard my father talking to Anna, "Anna, you're so talented at painting. If only you were my real daughter." As memories reached the painful parts, my eyes grew wet with tears once again after so long. Ethan fidgeted anxiously like an ant on a hot pan, hastily wiping my tears with his sleeve. "It was just a joke, I wasn't actually going to kidnap you to my house. Don't cry." The principal, however, caught on to my genuine emotions and couldn't help but ask what had happened between me and my family. Upon hearing Anna's story, Ethan was so shocked his jaw nearly dropped. Your parents actually chose that troublemaking adopted daughter over their own outstanding biological child? Were they cursed or something? She has eye problems but isn't blind yet, why should we give her special treatment everywhere? The principal flicked Ethan's forehead, warning him to watch his words. Then the principal pulled me into her embrace. Stroking my back like a mother, she said, "From now on, you'll be my daughter. Such a good child. If they don't want you, I do." I sobbed uncontrollably in the principal's arms, while Ethan muttered quietly beside us, "If she becomes your daughter, won't that make us siblings?" I spent the most carefree period of my life in high school, even using studying as an excuse to stay in the dormitory during most holidays. My parents didn't have time to pay attention to me either. I heard they were busy taking Anna to various doctors while also enrolling her in all sorts of tutoring classes. They were so busy that the family business was nearly neglected, and my allowance was significantly reduced. Fortunately, I had already achieved financial independence long ago, so I could live quite comfortably without relying on them at all. I've had an eye for investing in paintings since I was very young, but in my past life, my father and Anna brainwashed me into believing that mixing art with money was something shameful. They talked a good game, but in reality, they secretly profited from selling the paintings I identified, without giving me a single cent of the earnings. In this life, I saw their true colors early on and only entrusted my most trusted principal to help with investments. Watching the numbers in my bank book steadily grow, I felt an unprecedented sense of security. Indeed, having the ability to support oneself is what matters most. This weekend, the principal and Ethan specially set aside time to take me for a picnic at a nearby park. The principal went to park the car while Ethan and I went ahead to secure a spot on the lawn. I had been looking forward to this day, but my good mood vanished the moment I saw my family approaching. Anna walked arm in arm with my brother at the front, followed by my long unseen saintly parents. When they spotted me, their bright smiles froze in place. Anna shrank timidly behind her brother the moment she saw me, as if I were about to devour her. Her fragile, delicate demeanor instantly triggered her brother's protective instincts, and his gaze toward me turned noticeably fiercer. "You keep saying you're studying, but it turns out you've been lying all along." Spotting Ethan by my side, Anna bit her lower lip in frustration. "Little sister Wendy, are you on a date with your boyfriend? Mom and Dad have been so worried about you, yet you didn't even come home during the holidays. You've been lying to us. You've changed so much since starting high school." My saintly parents also stared at Ethan and me in shock. "Wendy, how could you deceive your parents for a boy at such a young age? Are you trying to kill us with anger? When will you ever learn to be as obedient and well-behaved as Anna?" They each took turns pinning a big hat on my head, not even giving me a chance to explain. Even though Ethan had heard about my family's favoritism, he was still stunned by their relentless attacks. Just then, the principal arrived after parking her car. My parents immediately switched to fawning expressions when they saw her, their earlier hysterics vanishing without a trace. Anna will be entering high school next year. Her grades are poor but her ambitions are high, aiming for the best school. They'll inevitably need the principal's connections when the time comes. After learning that Ethan was the son of the prestigious school's principal, the subtle expression on Anna's face became even more pronounced, and she even let go of her brother's arm, which she had been holding. I knew Wendy wouldn't lie to us. My parents also snapped back to reality, offering awkward smiles and apologies, primarily out of fear of offending Ethan, with me being an afterthought. "Principal, you're too kind to take Wendy out on your day off." Ethan watched this family whose expressions changed faster than flipping a book and couldn't help but laugh in exasperation. "Wendy's mom and dad, care to guess why we came out for a picnic today?" Her brother seemed to notice Anna's gaze lingering on Ethan's face, and his tone grew increasingly sour. "What else? The weather's nice today. We also brought Anna out to get some sun because..." He hadn't finished speaking when he finally noticed the cake in Ethan's hand. That's right, not a single family member remembered today was my birthday. I couldn't help sneering. Weren't Mom and Dad so worried about me? How could you forget my birthday? Last month for Anna's birthday, didn't you still host a banquet? With every word I spoke, Mother's expression grew more distressed. She wanted to explain something to me, but couldn't utter a single word. As for Father and Brother, they'd only double down on their stubbornness. They'd always claimed to treat both daughters equally and would never admit they favored Anna. It's because you never come home during holidays. We wanted to celebrate your birthday but couldn't. Ethan stepped forward to shield me, his gaze carrying a hint of hostility as he looked at them. If you couldn't celebrate the birthday, surely you prepared gifts for Wendy? What were you planning to give her? Or were they just empty promises? My family had completely forgotten about my birthday, so of course they couldn't produce any gifts. As they began to feel a twinge of guilt toward me, Anna's eyes, like a faucet with an on-off switch, started streaming with tears. Wah, Wendy, little sister, don't blame Mom and Dad. It's all my fault. If I weren't so sickly, they wouldn't be so worried and wouldn't have forgotten your birthday. It's only right that you hate me. Someone like me might as well be dead. She wept uncontrollably, her whole body trembling as she stumbled toward us. But both Ethan and I instinctively stepped aside, leaving Anna to fall clumsily to the ground. Anna was the apple of my family's eye, cherished beyond measure. A mere scrape from her fall shattered their hearts. My brother, always the most impulsive, rushed up to me and slapped me across the face. How could Anna have fallen? Did you push her? The slap never reached my face, Ethan blocked it firmly. Ethan worked out regularly, tall and strong, easily overpowering his scrawny older brother. The principal stared sternly at my parents, his sharp gaze almost accusing them of being unfit. I saw clearly that the little girl fell on her own. How could you hit Wendy without any evidence? You've treated her like this, yet you blame her for not coming home? Don't you find yourselves utterly ridiculous? The principal flung those words angrily before pulling me and Ethan away from them. She and Ethan worried that my family's favoritism had ruined my interest in celebrating birthdays. But I had long given up on my family. Compared to that, creating beautiful memories with those who truly cared about me was far more important. We sat by the picturesque lakeside sharing cake. The principal gifted me a brand new backpack, while Ethan gave me a small handmade bracelet he'd woven himself. The thought of carefree Ethan clumsily weaving the bracelet made me burst into laughter, which sent him hopping around in embarrassment, his face flushed with indignation. 2 years flashed by, and I was about to graduate from high school. To completely break away from my birth family, I decided to study medicine abroad. My academic performance was outstanding, and the university offered me a full scholarship. It wasn't until the acceptance letter arrived at home that they learned of my plans to attend college overseas. I had thought my saintly parents would instinctively blame me for acting on my own, just like before. To my surprise, their attitude toward me had undergone a complete reversal this time. Not only did they show me warmth and concern, but they also praised me for being such a worry-free child. Turns out, Anna had spent the past year juggling medical treatments and tutoring, and to get into a decent high school, they had to spend a considerable sum greasing palms, which had already drained the family's savings. Upon learning that I had been investing and running a gallery with the principal all these years, they actually had the audacity to ask their underage daughter for money. I looked at my brother with a mocking smile, the one who graduated from a third-rate school and was now living off the family's dwindling resources. The family's broke now, brother. Why aren't you working? Anna, standing nearby, rushed to defend her beloved. William did it all for me. He actually had several job offers, but he turned them all down to take care of me. Her address for him had already shifted from brother to William. It seemed that without my interference in this life, Anna and William had gotten together much earlier. I pulled out the bank card I'd prepared long ago from my bag. Ever since my rebirth, I'd meticulously recorded every penny my family had spent on me, including the money set aside for our parents' retirement. I'd transferred it all into this card at once. Dad, Mom, I'm telling you up front. This money is for your retirement. If you give even a single cent to Anna, then consider me no longer your daughter. The atmosphere instantly tensed at my words. Anna covered her face with her hands and collapsed weakly into William's arms, looking utterly heartbroken. Dad swept the bank card onto the floor with a furious gesture, then stomped on it several times as if that still wasn't enough. Pointing at my nose, he roared. "Then get out. Our family has no place for such a cold-blooded, heartless child." I didn't hesitate for a second, taking the notarized document with signatures and leaving immediately. As I reached the front door, I could still hear Anna and my mother weeping in each other's arms, as if I were the villain who caused this family tragedy. In the end, I couldn't hold back anymore. My icy gaze swept across every hypocritical face in the household. Am I heartless? Have you ever noticed that since Anna arrived, I've disappeared from every family portrait? My parents stared blankly at the framed photo hanging in the center of the living room, their arms wrapped around Anna and my brother, their faces glowing with parental affection. The photo had left no space for me, just as this family had left no place for me. Dragging my exhausted body back to the dormitory, I realized every interaction with my family left me unusually irritable and uncomfortable. To my surprise, Ethan was crouching by the door, waiting for me. He first leaped up with joy, but when truly face to face with me, he spun in place speechless. Finally, Ethan somewhat sheepishly waved the admission letter in his hand and said, "Wendy, let's go abroad together." All preparations for Ethan and me to go abroad were handled by the principal. In this world, only she and Ethan truly held me in their hearts. Before leaving, the principal and I had a heartfelt talk that lasted the entire night. She had long noticed Ethan's unusual feelings for me, yet she firmly told me, even if Ethan and I don't end up together in the future, I'll always remain her favorite daughter. After entering university, I completely cut off contact with my family, though they still seemed to use the bank card I provided without hesitation. I've gathered bits and pieces of information about them from old friends. They've gotten themselves into trouble. During her art school entrance exam, Anna's eye condition flared up again. Since I didn't participate this time around, she simply took a well-drawn exam paper and replaced the name with her own. After the incident, Anna used coquetry and played the victim to get her father, who still held some influence in the art world, to pull strings and cover up the exam paper swap for her. Unexpectedly, Anna had terrible luck. She ended up swapping with the exam paper of the chief examiner's student. Lacking artistic integrity, her cheating was exposed, resulting not only in her disqualification from the exam but also a sharp decline in her father's reputation within the art circle. Because of this cheating scandal, even the paintings Anna had previously created herself were suspected to have been ghost-painted by others. Her carefully crafted persona as a frail yet talented beauty in the industry was called into question, with many who had purchased Anna's paintings even demanding refunds. The irony is, my saintly father who used to treat his adopted daughter as the apple of his eye seemed to suddenly wake up and stop defending and doting on her at every turn. Perhaps what he loved most all along was the good reputation that came with raising Anna. Unable to bear this sudden change, Anna moved out with William, and not long after, they announced their engagement. William sent me an invitation, but I wouldn't give them a single penny, let alone fly back from abroad to attend. 3 more years passed in the blink of an eye, and Ethan and I returned to our home country after graduating from university. I continued my studies under a renowned medical professor, while Ethan started his own company while also helping the retired principal manage the gallery business. My internship at the hospital under the professor kept me extremely busy, but despite that, I still managed to carve out some time for dates with Ethan. Life was fulfilling and happy. However, on this day, an unexpected visitor shattered this hard-won peace. William and his mother burst into my office with the professor, screaming hysterically, "Wendy, you must save Anna." It turned out that Anna's vision had been deteriorating continuously, leaving her almost completely blind. Unable to bear such a blow, she had attempted suicide several times, only to be stopped by William each time. "Wendy, you're studying medicine now, and your mentor is so brilliant, you too must be able to cure Anna." My mother collapsed onto me, crying uncontrollably, repeatedly wailing that if Anna were gone, she wouldn't want to live either. After understanding the situation, the professor's face darkened with concern. Anna's illness was extremely rare, with very few documented cases, and there were no successful treatment precedents to date. Of course, William and his mother had heard these words before. After years of seeking medical help for Anna, how could they not understand this logic? But they had clearly lost all reason, pushing and shoving me without restraint. How can you be so heartless? Are you just going to stand by and watch Anna die? I always said she bullied and excluded Anna since childhood. How could she possibly be willing to help now? If you can't even save your own family, what's the point of studying medicine? Someone as selfish as you doesn't deserve to be a doctor. Because I was particularly favored by the professor, there had always been many who resented me. Now, the office was surrounded by onlookers, pointing fingers at our family, eager to see me expelled by the professor over this matter. I didn't hesitate to slap William across the face, his cheek swelling instantly, silencing both my mother and the people at the door. Selfish? Heartless? That I bullied and excluded Anna since childhood? You all said Anna was pitiful, so I gave her my bedroom and moved into the maid's room. You said Anna needed more care, so I've walked myself to school since I was 7. You said Anna needed medical treatment, so I earned scholarships to pay my own tuition since childhood. When Anna sneezes, the whole family rushes her to the hospital, yet no one cared when I had a 39 degrees Celsius fever. You only attend Anna's parent-teacher meetings, only remember Anna's birthday. Since childhood, whatever Anna wanted, I had to give it to her. I even gave up my parents. What more do you want? Yes, she's pitiful, but her tragic background wasn't my fault, and her serious illness wasn't caused by me either. You say I'm unqualified to be a doctor? From the moment I resolved to study medicine, every textbook was bought with my own money, the school was earned through my own exams, and the teachers were sought out by myself. For so many years you haven't shown me a shred of concern. Do you even qualify as a mother? The grievances of 2 lifetimes erupted at this moment as I poured out all the words hidden in my heart over these years. The onlookers who had been pointing fingers at me immediately shifted their criticism towards Mom and William. Mom seemed to age instantly in that moment. All these years she probably thought she'd balanced things perfectly, but in reality, one bowl had long dried up while the other overflowed. After venting my emotions, I felt physically and mentally relieved, only then remembering to call security to escort them out. The hospital returned to tranquility, though from that day onward, my colleagues' gazes seemed to carry a new layer of reverence when they looked at me. Through relentless effort, I became the youngest attending physician in our hospital's history. At the same time, the art gallery I co-founded with the university president had grown to considerable scale. Ethan and I have relatively low material desires with few expenses, so we donate a significant portion of our annual income to help children forced to drop out of school in impoverished areas. Occasionally I still send alimony to my former parents, but beyond that we maintain no contact whatsoever. I once saw Anna on the street later. She had gone completely blind, walking slowly alone with her white cane. Since William needed to go out to work, she seemed to have returned to living at home. The Anna who once looked at me with the eyes of a victor now wore an ashen expression. My family had once cherished her like the apple of their eye, panicking at her slightest sneeze, yet now they abandoned her, blind and alone, on the streets. Some kids deliberately threw stones onto the tactile paving in front of Anna, and I kicked them away. I don't feel the slightest pity for Anna. Her current predicament is entirely her own doing. If she hadn't cheated on the art school entrance exam, she might have still been admired as a beautiful, disabled genius girl with strong willpower like in her previous life, and my family would have continued to cherish and love her as before. Although I'm extremely satisfied with how this life has turned out, I have no intention of forgiving Anna for what she did to me. I called Ethan and invited him and the principal to dinner tonight. The past no longer matters, they are my true family, the 2 most important people in this world to me. A career I'm passionate about, someone worth entrusting my life to, and elders who cherish me. These joys that belong solely to me, no one can ever take them away.